이런 한국, 와보지 않고는 모를걸?
We change today, inspiring daily life. We create tomorrow, inspired by innovation. Change today, create tomorrow. Lotte.
Thank you for tuning into our breaking news coverage of an impeachment vote against President Yoon Suk Yeol. On the day of the vote, the South Korean president has spoken, apologizing to the people over his abrupt martial law declaration. He says the fate of the remainder of his term will be in the hands of his party. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Making a public appearance for the first time since Wednesday morning when he lifted the martial law decree imposed, President Yoon Suk Yeol apologized for the public chaos that stemmed from his decision to declare martial law in South Korea for the first time in 45 years.
매우 송구스럽게 생각하며 많이 놀라셨을 국민 여러분께 진심으로 사과드립니다. 저는 이번 계엄 선포와 관련하여 법적, 정치적 책임 문제를 회피하지 않겠습니다.
The address came as the National Assembly is set to vote on his impeachment motion on the same day. And as the fate of the remainder of his term is being decided, President Yoon also said during the address that he will now yield all decisions to the ruling People Power Party on his term, as well as a means to stabilize the political situation of the country.
저의 임기를 포함하여 앞으로의 전국 안정 방안은 우리 당에 일임하겠습니다. 향후 국정 운영은 우리 당과 정부가 함께 책임지고 해 나가겠습니다.
While this doesn't specify what it means in terms of how the country will be run, the announcement comes as ruling People Power Party Chair Han Dong-un changed his initial stance and said that he's in favor of impeaching the president as there cannot be another day under his unstable rule. Votes from lawmakers who backed Chairman Han could tip the scale and reach the 200 votes needed to impeach. But with Yoon's new announcement, it's unclear how these lawmakers will now decide to vote, as the ruling PPP will have the power to decide. Also, during the address, Yoon tried to explain the reason behind the declaration of martial law, saying it came from the urgency he felt as a president, the ultimate bearer of responsibility for state affairs. On the other hand, he shot down claims that there could be another declaration of martial law if he remains in power.
또다시 계엄이 발동될 것이라는 얘기들이 있습니다마는 분명하게 말씀드립니다. 제2의 계엄과 같은 일은 결코 없을 것입니다.
Meanwhile, this much-awaited address to the public lasted 2 minutes with no reporters allowed in the briefing room where it was broadcast live. It was officially announced to reporters just an hour before he made the live television appearance. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Now let's head straight over to the National Assembly where the vote on the motion to impeach the president is imminent. Our correspondent Lee Si-hoo is standing by. Si-hoo, what's the latest?
Right, Chongmin, just not long ago, the lawmakers here at the National Assembly entered the main chamber of the building to open a plenary session. First, they're conducting a vote on the First Lady Kim Gun-hee and the allegations surrounding her to initiate a special prosecution. Coming up after that is the motion to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol for declaring a martial law 3 nights ago. Now, nearly 190 pan-opposition members are participating in the session, but as for the ruling People Power Party members, most of them have actually left the chamber after casting their vote on the First Lady's bill to opt out of voting on the motion to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol. Now, we're waiting for the results of the anonymous vote that will determine the fate of the First Lady and the President, the latter who addressed the nation just this morning and apologized for causing a political turmoil across the country. Immediately following Yoon's address, the ruling People Power Party leader Han Dong-un said the president stepping down is inevitable, but refrained from saying anything specific about the impeachment. Listen in.
It's impossible for the President to perform his duties as normal, and an early ending of his term is inevitable. We will discuss and consider what measures are best for South Korea and its people.
The party has decided to oppose impeachment but is considering other, what it calls more orderly measures for Yoon's resignation, like a shortened term. Han also had a meeting with Prime Minister Han Duck-soo today. Han says he asked the Prime Minister to pay special attention to the livelihoods of the people and to ease their anxieties.
How is the opposition responding to the overall situation?
Right, so the main opposition Democratic Party, along with other minor parties, stand firm on their decision to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol. The DP leader Lee Jae-myung said earlier today after Yoon's address that he is deeply disappointed with the president's message and also that he will push for the impeachment no matter how many tries it takes. Listen in.
The biggest risk for South Korea right now is the president's existence. The only way to resolve it is the president's immediate resignation or ending his term early or through impeachment.
The DP also said the president and the ruling party's collusion has angered the people of South Korea.
And we hear the DP is under a time crunch tonight.
That's right, Chongmin. So about 8 hours remain until the deadline to pass the impeachment motion. That's just 72 hours since the initial reporting of the motion by the DP to the whole assembly. If the motion isn't approved tonight, the DP plans to quickly open an extraordinary assembly session next week and reintroduce the motion. The impeachment requires at least 200 approvals from a total of 300 lawmakers. This means the opposition needs extra support from at least 8 ruling party members who are willing to go against the view of the decided party. Now, the special prosecution bill on the First Lady requires a majority attendance, but this is not that likely with the PPP members not present for the vote leaving the chamber after voting. Chongmin.
All right, thank you, Shu. That was our political correspondent, Lee Si-hoo, live from the parliament. And on this day, streets around the National Assembly and also other places are filled with protesters. Now, let's go over to our An Sung-jin standing by live on Yeouido to get the public reaction. Sung-jin, how's it looking there?
Well, good evening, Chongmin. I'm standing only a couple hundred meters away from the National Assembly. I've been standing here for the past couple of hours, and the voting process would have already begun at 5 p.m. But what you're seeing behind me is an influx of protesters coming in to voice their demand, which is the impeachment of President Yoon. Today is the fourth day of major rallies and candlelight protests taking place here in the heart of the capital, Seoul. A major protest actually just began here around 2 hours ago, organized by the Korean Federation of Trade Unions and People's Solidarity for Participatory Democracy. On the other hand, there are also mass protests at Gwanghwamun Square, as well as nearby areas in Yeouido, where I'm currently standing at, that are supporting President Yoon as well. Nationwide, it is estimated that more than 250,000 protesters will be participating, but the police here have actually said that there would be more than 1 million protesters here at the place.
Well, at the previous impeachment 8 years ago involving former President Park Geun-hye, there were mass candlelight protests across the country.
Well, I'm glad that you pointed that out, Jung-min, because despite the protest today being one of the largest out of the four major rallies that have been taking place here in Yeouido, safety measures have been well implemented without much violence occurring here. The police have also specifically been on high alert and have stationed thousands of officers here and there. If you look around here, Lawyers for a Democratic Society are also volunteering for help for those in need. With Yeouido being crowded, mounting concerns about safety and the National Assembly and Yeouido stations on Subway Line 9 will see trains passing through these stations without stopping. Workers at nearby stations on line alongside police are taking steps to ensure that there aren't any accidents taking place. That's all I have for you now. Back to you, Jung-min.
All right, our An Sung-jin live from Yeouido. Thank you. Up next, our Choi Soo-hyung walks us through the impeachment voting procedure at Parliament.
On Thursday, 6 opposition parties jointly submitted a motion to impeach President Yoon to the National Assembly. According to the National Assembly Act, the vote must take place between 24 and 72 hours after submission, which means it will occur between Friday and Sunday Korean time. The opposition has scheduled the vote for Saturday afternoon, appearing to have decided to wait for any objections from the ruling party. The Democratic Party explained that this delay gives the ruling People Power Party enough time to consider the motion. For the impeachment to pass, at least 2/3 of the 300 lawmakers, at least 200, must approve it. Currently, there are 192 lawmakers, the main opposition Democratic Party and others, who support the motion to impeach the president. This means at least 8 votes are needed from the ruling People Power Party for the motion to pass. As tactical moves continue regarding impeachment for President Yoon, if the motion passes in the National Assembly on Saturday, it will mark the 3rd presidential impeachment motion in South Korea's constitutional history, following Roh Moo-hyun in 2004 and Park Geun-hye in 2016. If the National Assembly approves the motion, the final decision on impeachment will then be determined by the Constitutional Court. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
So no one knows what will happen today, but if the impeachment motion is passed by the National Assembly, the ball will be handed over to the Constitutional Court, as we just heard. Lee Soo-jin explains what might happen there, considering it currently has 3 vacancies.
The role of South Korea's Constitutional Court is more critical than ever amid the high-stakes impeachment proceedings against President Yoon over a shocking declaration of martial law late Tuesday night. While Yoon will be immediately suspended from the presidency if the impeachment motion passes, leaving Prime Minister Han Duck-soo serving as acting president, it will be up to the court to either uphold or reject the motion. But there are procedural challenges. South Korea's Constitutional Court Act stipulates that the court needs to have 7 justices or more to review cases and that there needs to be at least 6 out of 9 justices that vote in favor for a motion to pass. With 3 vacancies on the bench, only 6 justices' positions out of 9 are currently filled, meaning that while there are enough justices to make a decision, there are not enough to review the case. Acting Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court Moon Hyung-bae, however, told reporters on Thursday that the current court will be able to hold an impeachment hearing.
Regardless of the specific case, I believe that under general principles, with the suspension of Article 23, Paragraph 1 of the Constitutional Court Act, a hearing will at least be able to take place.
In October, Lee Jin-suk, chairperson of the Korea Communications Commission, who was awaiting a trial ruling, filed a complaint to suspend the legal provision requiring at least 7 justices to review a case, and the court unanimously passed it last month. But when asked whether the court will be able to make a final judgment on the impeachment, the acting Chief Justice said that he would have to discuss the matter. This is because while the court can move legally, it may raise concerns about whether such a critical ruling can be made fairly without a full bench.
In reality, there's a huge difference between needing 6 out of 9 votes in favor and needing to have all 6 out of 6 having to vote in favor to impeach.
The court currently consists of 4 moderate and conservative justices and 2 liberals, with only 1 appointed by President Yoon. But with both parties working to appoint new justices to the bench, the impact of the court's dynamics remains to be seen. 이수진, Arirang News.
Investigations into the controversial brief military ruling here in the country are intensifying, both by the prosecution and police. Our Moon Hae-ryun has this report.
South Korean prosecutors have mobilized swiftly to investigate the martial law order issued Tuesday night, following the establishment of a special investigation headquarters. The task force, made up of 20 prosecutors and 30 investigators, headed by Park Se-hyun, chief prosecutor of the Seoul High Prosecutor's Office, held a meeting on Saturday morning. Military prosecutors and investigators have also been assigned to the task force due to the involvement of military personnel in the martial law order. The prosecution is moving swiftly following charges of insurrection and abuse of power filed by opposition parties and civic groups. An official explained that securing critical evidence is of utmost importance in this case, but noted that obtaining materials prematurely could raise issues with the admissibility of evidence during future trials. As a result, the prosecution plans to thoroughly review legal grounds before initiating compulsory investigative measures. The investigation team intends to methodically organize the entire process, starting from the moment martial law was declared to its lifting. This includes examining whether the president immediately notified the National Assembly of the martial law declaration, whether orders were given to arrest and detain lawmakers using martial law troops, and the circumstances under which martial law forces entered the National Election Commission. The National Police Agency has launched its own 120-member task force to investigate the case, disclosing that it has received 4 separate complaints related to the martial law declaration concerning President Yoon and the now former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun. This task force also continued its investigations on Saturday after seizing the mobile phones of several high-ranking police officials on Friday. The police are reportedly considering additional searches and seizures involving individuals connected to the incident. There has been conflict regarding investigation rights between the police and the prosecution, with the police claiming jurisdiction over insurrection-related investigations, and the prosecution claiming that it is the only body currently capable of effectively leading the inquiry, as top police officials have also been named as suspects. Adding to the complexity, the Corruption Investigation Office is also involved, focusing on related charges and mirroring the prosecution and police to place a travel ban on former Defense Minister Kim. The Democratic Party has proposed a bill for a special prosecutor to oversee the case, and the bill is expected to be reviewed in the National Assembly on December 10th. With multiple agencies now involved, this case marks an unprecedented moment in South Korea's political landscape. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
The impeachment motion against the president will soon be put to a vote at the Assembly at any moment now. We will bring that live, but first we're joined by attorney An Jun-sung for insights. Thank you, Mr. An, for coming on.
Thank you.
We believe a revote is underway at Parliament, seeking a special investigation into allegations of stock manipulation and others for First Lady Kim Gun-hye, and we are learning that the revote has been rejected. So that happens before the impeachment vote. What's the impeachment voting procedure in Parliament?
Yeah, impeachment for since the process initiated, then the minimum 2/3 the member of National Assembly. So currently there are 300 seats at the National Assembly. So you need a minimum 200 vote to pass a motion for impeachment. And as of today, the PPP has 108 votes. So basically, so that the opposition need to get additional 8 votes to pass the motion.
And we're getting live pictures from the National Assembly Plenary Hall, where the impeachment motion against President Yoon Suk Yeol will soon be introduced. While we're waiting for that, Mr. An, how do you forecast today's voting results? You said the DP needed 8 more votes from the ruling party.
Well, it's very difficult to predict. We have to wait and see what happened. But it depends on how many people actually PPP member cast vote across the aisle. Well, we have to see how many people actually do it. But other procedure is that is a secret ballot. So basically, it's just like the one the previous the voting. The people just go to the box, and nobody knows who's cast vote against it or for it. So.
대안 설명하도록 하겠습니다. 존경하는 국민 여러분,
Honorable Koreans, compatriots overseas,
우원식 국회의장과 선배 동료 의원
the
여러분,
Speaker of the National Assembly,
원내대표
seniors,
박찬대입니다.
I am Park Chan-dae, the floor leader of Democratic Party of Korea. In front of the people and the history of Korea, I am very heavy-hearted standing here. The constitutional first article stipulates that the sovereignty resides in the people, and the Republic of Korea is a democratic republic, and all authority comes from the people. On September 4th, my first speech in the National Assembly, I reminded this first article of Constitution. And back then, standing here, I reflected upon the crisis that the Republic of Korea is mired in, and I appealed to you that we have to go back to the spirit of Constitution. Ever since the launch of this government, the crisis of the safety of the people, the crisis of economy, the crisis of democracy, the peace on the Korean Peninsula crisis, and the crisis of constitutional history is not anywhere else, but it starts from the president himself. And the president protecting the constitutional spirit should be the resolution to all these crises. And ever since, in 3 months from that day, on the 12th, September 3rd, the martial law was declared by the president who has the authority and the responsibility to protect the Constitution. He himself made the tyranny of violating the Constitution. I could not believe it myself. The person who should be protecting the Constitution has declared an emergency martial law, even though there weren't any activities of law or any engagements of conflict or hostility with the enemy. In 2024, in the Republic of Korea, I could not believe that this was really happening. The National Assembly was closed, and we had to jump over the wall to come to this rotunda hall for the plenary session, and I really wish that this was a nightmare or just a mere dream. However, it was a reality. The military troops who were armored came to the National Assembly. They marched into the National Assembly through helicopters and their vehicles. We had hundreds of military troops who attacked the National Assembly, and they were trying to arrest the National Assembly members, whether they are the ruling party or the opposition party. And that was the reality that happened here at this hall. And those scenes were broadcast live to the whole world. The emergency martial law that was declared in 42 years, it was a shock to all Koreans, and the pride that we had made this country into a democracy had become a shame, and there's no going back to before that day. The declaration of martial law is invalid in itself. It is unconstitutional and illegal. The Constitution stipulates that for the martial law to be declared, it should be the requirement that there is a state of wartime incident or similar national agency, and there is a state of engagement with the enemy or social order that is extremely disrupted. But none of this had happened. And it also stipulates Article 77, Paragraph 4, saying that this martial law, when it's declared, it should be notified to National Assembly without delay, which was also not followed by the President. And therefore, it is unconstitutional and illegal. And this is an act of treason. The martial law troops armed with gun, they came to the National Assembly to arrest the members of the National Assembly, including the leader of People Power Party, the Democratic Party of Korea, Rebuilding Korea Party, and so on. And they were trying to impede any proceedings of the National Assembly, and therefore this constitutes the grounds for treason. And President Yoon Suk Yeol was at the forefront of such acts. He called himself to Mr. Hong Jang-won, who was the first secretary of the National NIS, and he said that we have to take this opportunity to get them all. And he also called the chief of the military officials, and this means that he, in order to maintain his duty, he wanted to have a say, and he wanted to he was trying to get his power over maintaining his leadership or his authority. And this is a rebellion and an act of rebellion and treason. Honorable senior members of the National Assembly, the colleagues here who are here, as we have seen from this December 3rd martial law declaration incident, President Yoon Suk Yeol is in the state of which he cannot make a clear decision or clear thinking. And he did not apologize, but said that this was something to warn the opposition party. President of the Republic of Korea just trying to warn the opposition party. He declared the martial law decree. Does this make any sense? And if we do not suspend him from his duty, we don't know what would happen next. The immediate order for him to suspend his duty is the way to protect our country. And this is a very grave situation and problem that where our future of the country is the future of the country is hindered. It will have negative impacts on all of the Republic of Korea's activities in terms of economy, diplomacy, and security. And if we let him be in office, all the situations would be exacerbated. The emergency martial law declaration and coup d'etat was seen by the people around the world live, and it had made them recognize that President Yoon is not a person who can uphold or protect the Democratic Republic of Korea. And there won't be any country or any people who will invest in such unstable country. And we are already seeing negative signs in the financial sector and the economy. And Yoon Suk Yeol is the first and foremost person who is a stumbling block to our advancement in the economy. And diplomacy is even worse. President Yoon is a person to avoid in the circle of the leaders around the world, and Yoon Suk Yeol is a stumbling block to the ROK-US alliance. New York Times diagnosed that the ROK-US alliance is at its test bed, and the Secretary of the United States had also said that this was a very bad decision of President Yoon, and all the military drills that were scheduled were delayed. And if we let him be in his seat, the crisis of the country will be maintained and will be prolonged, and it will even be exacerbated. So the impeachment of the President Yoon Suk Yeol is the only resolution, and the democratic resilience of our country should be demonstrated by this pass of impeachment motion. Impeachment would be the best resolution to resolve this incident of illegal and unconstitutional martial law declaration. And if you do not vote again for it, it means that you are an accomplice to treason and rebellion.
바로 국민 배신, 국민 반역입니다.
Trying to defend a person who puts a gun into the people of the Republic of Korea means that they will be the accomplice of treason and rebellion. Passing this motion of impeachment would be the only way to go forward for the Republic of Korea and the Republic of Korean people. We have a sad history of something similar in the Joseon dynasty, and we should not repeat that mistake again. All Korean people are focusing their attention to the National Assembly at this moment. The decision that we take today would be the stepping stone into the future of the Republic of Korea, whether it will flourish or not. So I really would like to appeal that we should show the world that the democracy is alive by suspending President Yoon from his duties. We should make the stepping stone towards a better Republic of Korea in the future. The People Power Party representatives, please come back to this hall and impeach the rebellion Yoon Suk Yeol and reinstitute and recover the economy and the livelihood of the Republic of Korea. Mr. Kangdae-sik.
강명구 의원.
Representative Kang Myung-gu.
강민국 의원.
Representative Kang Min-gu.
강선현 의원.
Representative Kang Son-yeon.
강승규 의원.
Representative Kang Seung-gyu.
고동진 의원.
Representative Ko Dong-gyu.
곽규택 의원.
Representative Kwak Kyu-taek.
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 곽규택 의원
and Kwak Kyu-taek especially who voted
구자근 의원
for the martial law, unconstitutional martial law. Representative Kwon Young-se, Kwon Young-jin, Kim Bum,
김기웅 의원
Kim Gi-yoon,
김대식 의원
Representative Kim Dae-sik,
김도 의원
Kim Do,
김미애 의원
Representative Kim Mie,
민전 의원
Representative Kim Min-jeon,
김상욱 의원
Representative Kim Sang-uk,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 김상욱 의원 어서
Representative
돌아오십시오.
Kim Sang-uk, who
김상욱
had
의원.
voted for the resolution for the
김상욱
emergency martial law. Representative Kim Sang-uk,
김석기 의원
Kim Seok-ki,
김선교 의원
Representative Kim Sun-gyu,
김성원 의원
Representative Kim Sung-won,
비상계엄 해제 요구
Representative
결의안에 참석한
who
김성원 의원
Kim Se-won, who also voted for the resolution. Please come back.
김소희 의원
Kim So-hee,
김승수 의원
Kim Seung-soo,
김예지 의원
Kim Ye-ji,
김용태 의원
Representative Kim Yong-tae,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 김용태 의원
Kim Yong-tae, who also voted for
어서
the lift of the
돌아오십시오.
martial law.
김위상 의원
Kim Wi-sang,
김은혜 의원
Kim Eun-hae,
김장겸 의원
Kim Jang-gyum,
김재섭 의원 비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 김재섭 의원
Kim Jae-seok,
김재섭
who
의원.
also participated in the lift of martial law resolution. Come back,
김정계
please.
의원
Kim Jong-ge,
김종양 의원
Kim Jong-young,
김태호 의원
Kim Tae-ho,
김형동 의원
Representative Kim Hyung-dong,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 김형동 의원
Kim Hyung-dong, who participated in the lift of martial law resolution.
김희정 의원 나경원 의원
Na Kyung-won,
박대출 의원
Park Dae-chu,
박덕흠 의원
Park Deok-hum,
박상웅 의원
Representative Park Sang-woo,
박성민 의원
Representative Park Sung-min,
박성훈 의원
Representative Park Sung-hoon,
박수민 의원
Representative Park Soo-min,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 박수민 의원
Representative Park Soo-min,
어서
who
돌아오십시오.
attended the lift of martial law resolution vote.
박수영 의원
Park Soo-young,
박정아 의원
Representative Park Jong-ah,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 박정아 의원
Representative Park Jong-ah, who also voted for the lift of martial law resolution. Please come back. Park Jong-won,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한 박정훈 의원
Park Jong-un, who also voted for the lift of martial law resolution. Please come back fast. Park Chung-tae,
박충건 의원
Park Chung-gon,
박형수 의원
Representative Park Hyung-soo,
배준영 의원
Bae Jun-young,
배현진 의원
Bae Hyun-jin,
백종헌 의원
Baek Jong-hun,
서명욱 의원
Seo Myung-uk,
서범수 의원
Representative Seo Bum-soo,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석하고 국힘당
who
의원들
voted for the lift of martial law resolution, and the person who called for the People Power Party representative to come back to the plenary session, Mr. Seo Bum-soo, please come back and really exercise your duties. 서일주,
서지영 의원
서지영,
서천호 의원
서천호,
성일종 의원
Representative 성일종,
송석준 의원
Representative 송석준,
송언석 의원
Representative 송언석,
신동욱 의원
Representative 신동욱,
신성범 의원
Representative 신성범,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한
The one who
신성범 의원
participated in the lift of martial law resolution vote. 신성범, please come back.
의원
안상훈,
안철수 의원
안철수. Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
엄태영 의원
엄태영,
우재준 의원
Representative Woo Jae-jun
비상계엄 해제 요구안 결의안에 참석한
voted for lift of martial law resolution. Mr. Woo Jae-jun,
유상범 의원,
유상범,
유영아 의원,
유영아,
유용원 의원,
Representative Yoo Yong-won,
윤상현 의원,
Representative Yoon Sang-yeon,
유영석 의원,
Yoo Young-seok,
윤재옥 의원,
Representative Yoon Jae-ho,
윤한홍 의원,
Representative Yoon Han-ho,
이다리 의원,
Representative Lee Da-ryu,
이만희 의원, 이상휘 의원,
Representative Lee Sang-hee,
이성건 의원,
Representative Lee Sun-gun,
이양수 의원,
Representative Lee Yang-soo,
이인선 의원,
Representative Lee In-sun,
이종배 의원,
Representative Lee Jong-bae,
이종욱 의원,
Representative Lee Jong-wook,
이철규 의원,
Representative Lee Cheol-gyu,
이헌승 의원,
Representative Lee Hyun-seung,
인요한 의원,
Representative Lee Yo-han,
이미자 의원,
Representative Lee Mi-ja,
임영득 의원,
Representative Lee Myung-duk,
장동혁 의원,
Representative Jang Dong-hyuk,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한
who participated in the lift of martial law resolution. Jang Dong-hyuk, please come back fast and participate in the vote. Representative Jung Dong-man,
정성국 의원,
Representative Jung Sung-guk,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에
who
참석한
participated in the lift of martial law resolution vote. Jung Sung-guk, please
돌아오십시오.
fast, swiftly come back.
정연욱 의원,
Jung Yeon-woo,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 참석한
who participated in voting for the lift of martial law resolution. Jung Yeon-wook, please come back.
정점식 의원,
Jung Jom-sik,
정희용 의원,
Representative Jung Hee-won,
조경태 의원,
Representative Jo Kyung-tae,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에
who
참석한
participated in the lift of martial law resolution vote. Jo Kyung-tae, please come back fast.
조배숙 의원,
Representative Jo Bae-soo,
조승안 의원,
Representative Jo Seung-an,
조은희 의원,
Representative Jo Eun-hee,
조정훈 의원,
Representative Jo Jung-un,
조지연 의원,
Representative Cho Ji-yeon,
주진우 의원,
Representative Chu Ji-nu,
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에
who voted
참석한
for the lift of martial law resolution. Chu Ji-nu,
어서
please
돌아와서
come
표결에
back
참여해 주시기 바랍니다.
and participate in
주호영
the
의원.
vote. Representative Chu Ho-young,
부의장님,
the Vice
어서 돌아오십시오.
Speaker, please come back fast.
주호영 의원,
Chu Ho-young,
진종호 의원,
Jin Jong-ho,
최보윤 의원,
Representative Choi Bo-yeon,
최수진 의원,
Representative Choi Soo-jin,
최은석 의원,
Representative Choi Eun-seok,
최형두 의원,
Representative Choi Hyung-doo,
추경호 의원,
Representative Chu Kyung-ho,
추경호 의원,
Representative Chu Kyung-ho,
어서 돌아오십시오.
please come back swiftly.
한기호 의원,
Representative Han Gi-oh,
한기아 의원,
Han Gi-ah,
비상계엄 해제 요구
who
결의안에
voted
참석한
for the
한기아
lift
의원,
of martial law resolution. Han Gi-ah,
어서
please
돌아오십시오.
come back.
비상계엄 해제 요구 결의안에 당의 압박에도
The lift
불구하고
of martial law resolution, despite
국회의사당을
the
침탈한
pressure from the party,
계엄군을 물리치고
in order
계엄을 해제하기
to
위해서 함께해 주신 국힘당의 18분의 의원님을
in order
포함해서
to
국힘당 의원님들 돌아오십시오.
in order to
국민들이 민주주의가
eradicate and let the troops
전 세계의
leave the
세계
National
시민들이
Assembly. The
기다리고 있습니다.
18 members of the
지금
People
밖에는
Power Party had
내란죄 윤석열
participated
퇴진,
to vote for
국민주권
the
실현,
lift of martial law
사회 대기업,
resolution.
본
At this
국민 촛불
moment,
대행진으로
we have this candlelight vigil
국회의사당을 둘러싼
outside
수십만의
this
시민들이
National Assembly.
국회를
We have
쳐다보면서 우리와 함께
tens of thousands of
국힘당의
people who
108명의
are
국회의원들의 이름을
participating
부르고
in
호소하고 있습니다.
this vigil, and they are
주권자인 국민이
crying out the
명령하고
names of these
어서 돌아오십시오.
members of the National Assembly. This
마지막으로
is the
국회를
yearn
보고
of the
있는 우리
people.
시민들을 위해서
Please come
한 말씀
back.
드리겠습니다.
And Lastly, I would like to make a
오늘 오전 내란 속에
remark
윤석열이
for
담화를 발표했습니다.
the citizens who are watching the National
변명과 책임
Assembly.
회피로 가득한
This morning,
개사과
the
시즌 3였습니다.
Yoon Suk Yeol,
입만
who
열면 거짓말,
is
거짓말, 거짓말.
who
윤석열의
has
거짓말의 속을 국민은
conducted treason and
단 한 명도
rebellion.
없습니다.
He had made a
그렇지
statement
않습니까?
to the public, and whenever he
법적
starts
정치적
to
책임을
speak,
피하지
it's
않겠다면서
always a lie.
임기를 계속
It's
이어가겠다고 합니다.
series of lies and
무장한
lies and
계엄군을
lies.
동원해
He
국민에게
says that
촛불을
he will be
들이댔는데
responsible for
사과가 아니라
the political
사퇴하겠다고 해야
and
하는
any
것
of the
아닙니까?
responsibilities, and he apologized.
헌법을
It should not
준수하고
be an apology, but he should
수호해야 할
be
대통령이
resigning from his
헌법을
seat. The
위반했으면
person who should protect the Constitution had violated the Constitution, and it is only natural for such person to resign. And it does not make any sense that he will continue on his work and his duties together with his party. That does not make any sense. The biggest crisis for the Republic of Korea is Yoon Suk Yeol himself, the person of rebellion and treason, trying to be in his seat continuously does not make any sense, and it should not happen. If we let him be the commander-in-chief and in his seat, the second or third martial law declaration could happen. This is a serious threat to the safety of the people. We should immediately suspend his duties, and this should be going down the history. Voting against impeachment is trying to be an accomplice to treason and rebellion, and this is just like our history repeating. The People Power Party, are they going to be the accomplice to the rebellion, or are they going to stand by the people of the Republic of Korea? Just looking at something very narrowly and not in the broad context, it will always come back with the people and the history's decision. And the treason, rebellion, Yoon Suk Yeol trying to be on his side should not happen, and they should vote for the impeachment, and that is what the history demands for them. We at the National Assembly, the representatives, we will absolutely impeach Yoon Suk Yeol. The people who are the owners of this country, please punish these people who are accomplice to the treason. And we, the National Assembly, will only trust our people, and we will carry on with our duties. We will definitely win together with the people. Thank you. Park Chan-dae, the floor leader of the Democratic Party of Korea, is saluting the members and going back to his seat. Thank you, Park Chan-dae.
제130조 제2항에 따라 무기명 투표 방식으로 표결하도록 하겠습니다.
A secret vote.
그리고 대통령 탄핵 소추안은 헌법 제65조 제2항에 따라 제적의원 3분의 2 이상의 찬성으로 의결한다는 점을 말씀드립니다.
Paragraph 1, the 2/3 of the vote should be in place.
의결서안은
And
단말기의 회의 자료를 참고해 주시기
please
바랍니다.
look at the
국회법 제114조 제2항에 따라
your device for more
김태선 의원
information. I am going to appoint the counting committee in accordance with Article 114, Paragraph 2. These 8 people that I have just announced will be the counting committee. The committee members, please come to the counting committee seats. After the Secretary General explains the voting method, we will be beginning the vote right away.
정명호 의사국장이 연단 앞에
Secretary General Jung Myung-ho is standing at the rostrum.
투표 방법에 대하여 설명드리겠습니다.
So I would like to explain the voting method. After receiving your nameplate and ballot paper, enter the polling booth and write ka or bu in Korean. Other than ka or bu, it will be considered invalid, and if you do not mark anything, it will be considered an abstention. We will begin the vote.
정명호 의사국장이 의원석을 향해
The
인사를
Secretary
하는 게
General
투석합니다.
is saluting and going back to a seat.
뒤쪽에 마련된 투표소 앞에 안철수 의원이 투표를 하기 위해
Ballot in
대기
front of the
중입니다.
ballot booth. An Chol-soo is waiting to cast his vote.
누가 불렀어?
Mr. An, we just heard how the impeachment vote got here. And as we see, almost all of the seats for ruling party lawmakers are vacant as they left to protest the impeachment, except for lawmaker An Chol-soo. The opposition called out each and every name of those who are not attending the session. What does this tell about today's result? Is it obvious?
Yes, because the South Korean Constitution, you need a two-thirds of the members to approve the motion for impeachment. So that's 200 minimum. But I think they have now 192 plus An Chol-soo. That's 193. So I think still 7,
현재
vote
진행
needed.
중인 투표 안건은 탄핵 소추안으로
What happens if the motion is rejected? The Democratic Party vows to, and the opposition parties vow to push ahead with impeachment once again. Can the motion be introduced over and over again?
Well, technically, each session they only have one chance to, vote on the, bill, basic motion. So basically, they will have. I think that the DP tried to get the special session maybe sometime in December. So I tried to get.
Probably
try
next
again,
week.
and then technically you can repeat it many times because technicality issue. So yeah, technically yes, you can bring up again.
Now let's talk about politics a little bit while the voting happens right there. It's the second straight time that a conservative president faces a judgment from the assembly since taking office. Do you see it as a crisis for the conservative bloc?
Well, kind of a political question, but if we look at the big picture, there will be 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. The first was Roh Moo-yeon 2004, and then Park Geun-hye 2016, and then the third time here. But 2 conservative, 1 liberal, I guess. And the problem was that it's quite different from 2016 case because in 2016, if you go back 8 years ago, what happened was that the Seoul ferry. The disaster triggered the impeachment process, and which actually took about 2 years because they had a criminal investigation about the owner of the ship and other related parties, and then even go back even 2004. I think that's one of the issues. Actually, I was in the United States. I was watching CNN. I was what's going on in Korea, and there was an impeachment process. And I looked at a big issue was that at that time, one of the main arguments for the impeachment was that the incompetence. They said the DP or PPP now, right? Today, the conservative party really arguing that Roh Moo-yeon is not capable of doing his job. That's what it's saying. And 2016 is about the inaction by the President Park Geun-hye during the time of critical times because she was missing actually 7 hours during the Seoul ferry sinking at the time. And now this time this is quite different from the previous 2 because this time the people concerned about the President Yoon Suk Yeol's criminal action or illegal, also the unconstitutional action. So I'm very surprised to see that the 7 member and got out of the parliamentary session just because to save their faces and to save their party. That's really very shame. I think that's very shameful, and we would be history remember their names. And because my kid asked me about what's going to happen. It's like, why it's unbelievable that things happen in 21st century in Korea. Because I'm very proud of being a Korean because we are very democratic in a way. But I'm very ashamed what happened today. And then maybe it's time for looking at our current system, because we're looking at the Washington, the U.S. election system. And because of bipartisan system, I think there's a problem with the bipartisan system itself. And maybe way to find out better way to find out the check and balance within the government. I think that's the things we the public have to look in a big picture.
And I think we're learning that actually lawmaker Kim Ye-ji from the ruling People Party, she just voted and left.
Oh.
Yes, I think that's we're learning it right now.
Okay.
And Mr. An, what about, we're talking about some political risks and perhaps legal risks of the Conservative Party. Then what about the main Liberal Party, that is Democratic Party? Does it also have legal risks?
Yeah, I guess, but look at the big picture. I think that both parties actually basically making a same argument actually, because they're saying that the DPP or PPP is saying that the National Assembly has too much power. They're abusing their power. That's what they're saying. And on the other hand, that the Democratic Party basically saying the president has too much power. Right? So, but from my perspective, from outsider, third party, I think they both have too much power. Because there's no party can check and balance their powers, I think, basically. So I was wondering, like, maybe you should have some different type of, checking power, against the president, also the National Assembly, because I was thinking maybe if you had put as a, national vote, if a general public vote for it, I remember read some statistics. It's about over 70% is kind of in favor of impeachment, right? If we actually have general voting, I'm sure there's over 60%, something like that. So I guess that time for the public think about, Korean people should think about which is a better way to checking their power. Both sides, the executive and then also the legislative parties.
You have a very interesting point there, Mr. An. And President Yoon Suk Yeol addressed the nation this morning. He apologized to the public for the martial law incident, and he said he will leave all decisions to his party to stabilize the political situation, including what becomes of his term. I think that would mean the constitutional reform for a 4-year presidency. Do you think his remarks have affected lawmakers and today's decisions for the ruling party?
I got 2 comments on that speech.
Please.
First one, I was shocked because it's too short. I was rewind twice. Oh my God, it's over. I was rewinded. That's it.
Right.
And the second thing, I think that's illegal per se, because he's a president, right? He got a legal duty to perform his duty, right? He's basically saying, I don't want to do my job, but don't fire me, don't send me to jail. And then the PPP agreed, right? Even the PPP chairman, Han, right? He said, well, I was very shocked because that, according to the press, I mean, the blacklist, right, to the political, right, the blacklist was, the chairman was included, and he was very surprised. And then he 11 a.m. today, he said he's gonna say vote in favor of impeachment, and he changed his mind after quick talk with the president. Basically, he's gonna step down, but he's not stepping down per se. He say, well, I will give you power, do you whatever you will do. 2 Hans, right, Han Dok-soo, right, and then right, Han Dok-soo, and then the 2 Hans, right, basically. So basically, what happened was that I'm very concerned that I think the press meeting was itself is illegal. I mean that you can't step down. Say, I'm sorry, I did a mistake. I will step down. That's fine. But he say, I'm not gonna step down. I give you power to you, and you do it, and don't fire me. I don't know. That itself, I think, is illegal activity.
While the voting is underway at the plenary session, at the National Assembly Plenary Hall. For those who missed it, let me give you a little bit of background for those who missed it. A motion to impeach a president here in South Korea undergoes a secret vote between 24 and 72 hours after the motion is reported. The motion was reported to the Assembly early Thursday, and now today is Saturday. And for the motion to pass, a 2/3 of the majority or 200 votes is needed. The bar is higher compared to the minimum requirements for impeachment motions against other officials. For the latter case, it needs the simple majority. So as we have been talking about, the opposition bloc holds 192 seats, and it requires at least 8 more votes from the ruling People Power Party members to vote in favor of the impeachment motion. Mr. Ahn, the president is now facing insurrection charges, right? What constitutes a crime of insurrection, and how do you forecast the investigations?
Yes, insurrection is a criminal act to basically to create violence, right, and to exclude the national power or subvert the Constitution. So I think in the beginning, the first day of I call it self-coup by the president. I think basically what happened was that he claiming that there was no violence, therefore there's no insurrection charge. But that's not true, because according to the press, that the KCI, the second number 2 person, right, he's basically saying that there was a blacklist to arrest political figures, including the PPP chair, Han, right? So basically that itself is the violence itself. So I don't think that's happened. So I'm very concerning, because that I know what happened, because I understand what happened in the Park Geun-hye situation 2016. It took 2 years, but it was inaction. But now I think Yoon Suk Yeol now taking like a Park Geun-hye approach, like more like inaction. So, but will save his time. But I think things got worse. I mean, because I don't know what I do next. Maybe tomorrow, maybe they have a press conference. What I'm saying, that we will have the whatever new government. Whatever, we will let you have some, non-partisan way. The member, executive, whatever. But I'm there's concerning that are they really doing legal way? And this is my question to the National Assembly. You say, is it legal to do that? That's the question they have to answer.
I want to ask about investigations currently going on by the prosecution, the police, and other institutions as well. How do you forecast investigations of President Yoon and some of his cabinet members?
Oh yeah, that's the things I'm very wondering what things that happen, because we don't know what really happened. And according to the press, the chairman Han say he want to step down per se. He want to kind of delegate power to the PPP and the Prime Minister Han, whatever they want to do it. And that's the things we have to see what kind of combination, whatever it. And by the way, about the other one about insurrection charge, I forgot to mention. Like there's a legal theory. It's like legal impossibility. It means that you try to kill someone, but somehow you prepare a gun, but gun didn't work out. Then you shoot them. Is it, I couldn't kill him because my gun isn't working. Well, is it legal impossibility? It's okay? No, not that's true. That's attempt charge for the insurrection. So there's, legally speaking, he can be charged at least attempt insurrection, because we know that there's some evidence coming up saying that he tried to use of force against the wills of and some of the political figures, right? They're also arrested except using physical force, right? Also, they're sending the special forces to National Assembly and they break the window. That's the violence, right? They're breaking window and using the forces. That's the violence itself. So I guess that's the big, and the investigation happens. And then I think that, I mean, under the Korean Constitution, they can, the people can bring action against, criminal action against the president because it's an insurrection charge. So I guess he's the first president really facing insurrection charge in the history of Korea. So that's a very serious charge. And I think that what happened today will make it worse for him and Kim Gon-hee as well. And PPP too.
투표를 안 하셨습니다. 네, 투표를 다 같이 할 수 있도록
In order for us to vote all together, the representatives from People Power Party, please come and participate in the vote. This is a bipartisan issue. This is a topic of democracy of the Republic of Korea and the future of the Republic of Korea. So in this sense, I would like to make a comment. The Republic of Korea has been upheld by the people. We have gone through colonization, war, the division and tyranny of authoritarian rule, and we have overcome all of this, and we are flourishing, and this is coming from the power of the people. The declaration of martial law of the president was wrong because it is a stain in the endeavors of our people, and it is providing really agony to the people. This history of ours is something that we are so proud of, that we overcame so many difficulties, and now we have become a flourishing democracy. And this is why the people around the world have respect in us, because we are the only country who became an advanced country, overcoming so many difficulties. And today we're seeing a lot of K-pop, K-pop culture, K-food around the world, and this was solely obtained by the people of our country. And this should not be tarnished by anyone. But with this martial law declaration, we were all shocked. And the people around the world were so shocked that this democracy of ours was so bleak. But also, they are surprised by the democracy of the Republic of Korea, because only in 2.5 hours after the declaration, the citizens came to the National Assembly, the vicinity of the National Assembly, and all our members of the National Assembly came in, no matter what, to lift the martial law declaration. This is unprecedented around the world, and this resilience of ours is surprising the people around the world, and this resilience should be upheld by us. Being in order and the order of constitutional order, we have this resilience and we are recovering. And therefore, such great Republic of Korea should be protected together, regardless of what party, what political party you're from. Such unjust martial law declaration, and for that we are voting right now, and all of our people and all the people around the world are looking. Their eyes are on the National Assembly right now, and you are not participating in the vote. We should be afraid of what the history would say, what our people would think of. And by doing this, if the order of constitution is tarnished, can you be responsible for it? We have to put all our endeavors, and I would like to really appeal to the ruling People Power Party representatives to participate in the vote. That is the only way to protect the democracy of this country. Please, once again, I would like to plead that you come and participate in the vote. This is not the way we should go forward. With your free will, I believe that whoever wants to cast their vote, they should be able to do that. And that is a very natural responsibility as the representative of the National Assembly and representative of the Republic of Korea. Please come in and vote. That was the Speaker of the National Assembly, Woo Won-sik.
So the Assembly Speaker, Woo Won-sik, once again urged ruling party lawmakers to join the impeachment move. Mr. An, what did you make of his remarks we just heard?
Yeah, I guess basically he's saying just please come back, right, to vote, right? So I guess I think that he's using some strategy, you know, give some more time to them to think again, you know, and I think that's kind of different effect on based on their seniority of the PPP members. If you're junior, maybe you think about the future. Is it affecting my re-election in the future? I think that's kind of a bigger factor to the junior members. But if you're senior, well, you know, or the chairman, maybe you don't even care because you want next election. That maybe you don't looking at long time, but in the long term, I guess the junior members might be thinking more seriously than the senior members. So we'll wait and see. And I guess they might be. I feel like there's like a filibuster situation, Like they try to give more time, and plus we have 72 hours max anyway, so we still have some plenty of time. So, you know, I'm sure they're watching TV.
How long are they gonna wait for them to come back?
I think they wait at least a few hours. Yeah, I think.
A few hours.
Yeah, because they were watching it and they were checking news every minute. Is it over? Is it over? And they say they're waiting and waiting. I think there might be a change of mind, and seriously, because I was very surprised because for the there was 192 vote, right? It's like there was about 18 votes from PPP members. And there's what happened to all the members, more than 10 people, right? I think they were really thinking about the future because they're very, they have a very bleak future for them, some junior members, PPP, because the people will remember. I think especially if you're running for the, Seoul area or the non-southern, those area, more like Seoul and the Gyeonggi province, there are people very sensitive on their, how their representative doing in the job there at the National Assembly. So I think there will be an effect on I'll see what junior members do. I think that's things. I remember read the news about 5 or 6 junior members saying that they had a press conference saying that they're going for the impeachment, but nobody showed up yet. So I guess we'll have to see what happens. We'll still have time.
I say so. The consensus of the party to prevent this impeachment from happening really worked. As for now, Mr. An, let's talk about this. Former President Park Geun-hye was impeached in 2016. You mentioned this a little bit previously. How is this impeachment different from the past?
Yeah, actually, well, yeah. I think the big difference is I guess, interesting, using the same I word, in, or I guess in, in. Like for the 2016, there was inaction by the then President Park Geun-hye. This time is insurrection by the current president. And even the 2004 Roh Moo-hyun situation, there was incompetence, right? Interesting about using the same word in, right? But different concept. But I guess what happened was different from 2016. I don't think that President Park Geun-hye did do against the law by herself. It's more like some people around her doing some of the job. They shouldn't do it without authority, right? Legal authority. I think that's the main problem. But this time I think that it's more like abusing their power. Is the president can do something without violating Constitution? And the question is constitutional as well. I think this is actually the first time ever, even the impeachment history in Korea, and talking about the unconstitutionality of the presidential act. That's the really major, I think, issue for this time.
And after the former president was impeached, the then ruling party went through severe internal conflict. If this happens again today, what do you suggest the fate of the People Power Party?
Yeah, it's very interesting because maybe I just call it maybe 2016 trauma for the PPP, right? I think they have a trauma. The problem was the best way to get rid of your trauma is not running away. You face it. You face it, and you're looking at what went wrong and try to correct it. Your things you've done wrong in the past. But what happened with PPP? They run away from the parliamentary session, right? That's very shameful. Also, I think they made mistaking, because that you're not really correcting the things you've done wrong. Then you run away. Running away is nothing, and they will, we'll see what happened. What history tell to the, how can we teach our kids for the next generation, what happened to Korean history? What is a democracy? I'm very sad about what's happening right now.
And shifting gears a little bit, the world will be watching this moment, I'm sure.
민주당 당대표가 투표를 마치고
In Washington.
투표함에 투표 용지를
And I think we're hearing that the DP leader Lee Jae-myung has just finished voting. Let me get to what I was speaking. The world will be watching this moment. Washington has reaffirmed its strong partnership with South Korea. Regardless of any particular president or government, what do you make of all this?
Very interesting comment, but I haven't had a chance to read it. But what I hear from you is that basically, I think they separate two things, right? About South Korean government and whatever president we have, right? I think there's separating the Yoon Suk Yeol from the South Korean government. So we don't care what happened, but we're not going to go with the President Yoon. I read some news about. I watched some of the the YouTube about the Japan, what happened in Japan. They're basically saying that they're canceling all the meeting with the Korean government because that they kind of figured that Yoon Suk Yeol with the current situation is going to be exercise his presidential power properly because of the coup happened a few days ago. So I think that's very serious. And I watched some the U.S. media news. I was very surprised that I think they're much more serious than in Korea. I think that, especially like U.S. media, CNN, ABC, NBC, I watch it, and they were very serious about what's going on. And the world, entire world is watching us. And, watching everybody in the National Assembly and the empty seat there, that's very shameful. I mean, there's the, I can't describe what's happening, but that's a really sad situation in Korea happening in the National Assembly. Yeah. And I also wondered because that in the UK, right? UK system, they can actually change entire national assembly, right? For one vote, right? So basically, they have election like Japan or UK. Maybe you should have something in a way to public can to do something against the parliament or National Assembly because if you don't like the National Assembly, maybe you can change entire 100% the composition. So I will see what happens. We'll still have time. I'm still crossing my fingers, and the last people come up and sign up, get a 200 vote. I'm hoping to get this tonight, right?
I wonder what will be their reactions, the world, after if the president survives his impeachment motion, or vice versa?
Well, I think they will be very disappointed. I think one of the things they're talking about, I read some article, they basically about, now they're talking about there was some systemic error or system problem in our current, the political system. However, there's some of the foreign media talk about resiliency, right? Because the South Korean democratic system, although there's some bug, some problem here, but we can self-correct itself. I think that's very important. This is time for you can going back to what we are. I mean, try to very proud democratic society, but we're still waiting. I'm hoping they'll come up. We still have we still have time. Or I'm sure the people watching, the PPP member watching at this moment, checking their news, their mobile phone, and then they say we keep waiting and waiting. We'll see. That's I think quite a psychological impact on the PPP members, especially junior members. I kind of suggest if you're waiting to nothing, maybe you should have some talk rather than just standing there because kind of getting bored watching.
Also, what we're doing right now, I would say, just to, but mainly to give us analysis and everything for our viewers here in Korea and around the world. I know, Mr. Ahn, you're not a North Korea expert, but I want to come up with this question. Is there any possibility that North Korea may conduct provocations during this period or after, if President Yoon has been suspended from his duties?
Well, I'm not an expert on North Korean issue, but I don't think he will do any military provocation at this moment because the world is watching. So if we do something, kind of a military provocation, everybody looking at North Korea. Let's see, we know what's happening, and that's the things. And that the President Biden is trying to wrapping up everything. I'm sure he tried to finalize some of his legacy he had for the last 4 years, right? So if something really going against his legacy, and he will be very upset and do some other, counter movements. to whatever North Korea. And I'm sure I was wondering how Kim Jong-un think about this situation. Oh, what's going on here? It's like, because normally when you say there was the martial law, it means that by the military provocation in North Korea, or the coup, right? Military coup. But there's self-coup, but still there was, I'm sure they were watching news and, this time and looking at what's going on, right? But I don't think they will take any action because that's too obvious for them to, and then hope. And then I think they try to be normalized in a way with the, upcoming presidency, right? The, Trump administration. Maybe they want to do better. So I'm sure they'll be stay low and wait and see. And plus, they will have some problem on the Ukraine issue. So they don't want to get too much, spotlight on. I don't think they want to spotlight at this moment, right?
No doubt, it's a very critical moment. And let's talk about what if the motion passes? Is the president will be suspended? If the president is suspended from his position, what happens then? Who will be in charge of state affairs?
Yes, well, by the Korean constitution, well, that's be the prime minister, because Korea is kind of a hybrid presidential system. It's not really presidential per se. So like a U.S. presidential system, right? There's a vice president. So if there's happen to the president and the vice president, automatically take over. But Korea, we don't have vice president. So the second person in the order, basically the prime minister, currently the Han Duck-soo, will take over job and will be acting president for the time being. And then once the legislature passed the motion for impeachment, and now the judiciary process begins. That at the Korean Constitutional Court, actually, and some of you watching this may be wondering, what is Constitutional Court? Because not many countries has Constitutional Court. In U.S., U.S. Supreme Court will make a determination on the constitutionality and any law or the action, right? So what happened in Korea, now we have a Constitutional Court make determination on constitutionality or unconstitutionality of act or the bill or the action. So here, Constitutional Court have maybe about 3 months. Well, in 2016, it took about 3 months to make determination about whether they're gonna afford or reject the motion. So but this time maybe it's gonna be actually this time it's much simple than the 2016, because there's a very clear case about insurrection. So basically, there's fewer issues, so it's gonna be speed up the process. But however, there's some vacancy issue at the Constitutional Court, so that might be some procedural issues, but I think that they can handle it, yeah.
And if the motion is passed, again, if the ball will be in the court of the Constitutional Court, as you mentioned, to decide whether it upholds or rejects the motion, and what happens there? I'm asking you this because the court has 9 justices, but for now, 3 seats remain empty following recent retirements.
Well, that's a very technical question, because they need a 9 justice as a full bench. But now, because due to the requirement, they only have 6. And the question is that there are 2 different procedure or threshold, actually, two things, procedural threshold. First one is that can they review, can they have a hearing on this case? And by law, they have 6 minimum to review it, so they can review it. The question, next question is that can they make any decision on whether it is the final decision on try to afford or reject the motion? That's the well, they're supposed to have a 7 out of 9. But however, they so in that if you apply that provision, they cannot legally make a decision. However, there's a recent motion approved by the Korean Constitutional Court, and in case of vacancy, they could have proceeded with 6 justices. But however, that's problem with the case is that currently, yes, it's legal to do so, but however, there might be a legal challenge in the future, because that this is a very serious matter. So can we handle with, make a decision only 6 votes? That might be have some legal challenge in the future.
So as we were just watching, we hear that one more lawmaker, we don't know who he is, came back to the plenary hall, and I think he just voted right now. We're still learning. We don't know who.
투표를 마치고 나오는 의원을
lawmaker Kim Sang-wook from the ruling People Power Party has just voted. And there's the other opposition lawmakers are giving a round of applause.
굉장히 헐레벌떡 뛰어온 듯한 모습이었습니다. 숨이 많이 가빠 보이는데요. 죄송합니다. 아직 의원님의 성함을 지금 알 수가 없어서 말씀을 드리지 못하고 있는 상황입니다. 양해 부탁드립니다. 의원석에 앉아 계셨던 의원들이 투표를 마친 의원을 향해
We're going to check who he is. I think he is a lawmaker Kim Sang-wook, but it might be a different lawmaker.
안아주기도 하고 쓰다듬어 주기도 하고 있습니다.
It's kind of hard to see his face right now. All right, Mr. An, while we're waiting to learn who he is, we were talking about what happens in the Constitutional Court. How likely is the Constitutional Court to uphold the motion if it's the impeachment motion is passed?
Very tough question. I mean, it's like you're asking the lawyer, are you going to win the case? And it's a very tough question. It depends. Well, if you're general question, well, we'll answer depend on the evidence, right? What kind of evidence, both sides can produce it. So I guess it will, because we don't know what happened, but it seems like there are quite the circumstantial evidence showing that the President Yoon actually personally participated on this kind of action. He called the commander, the special force commander, a few times, two commanders, right? So that kind of things. And then we're not sure. Actually, according to them, he said, arrest everyone. For this time, let's clean up everything, whatever, basically. So we don't know what really, because there's a legal admissibility. Is all the evidence is not admissible. Some evidence is not admissible. So we have to, for the litigation, it's more like a trial case. This is judicial process, and the justice will determine which kind of evidence will be admitted. And then they're looking at the evidence, legally significant facts, and they will make this determination. So at this moment, it's hard to say, but according to the information we're getting from the media, very, I think it might be a very strong case against him, because there's something, testimony coming out unofficially yet. But the thing is that some of the testimony may be not admissible at the court. That might be different questions.
I think we're learning that the lawmaker who just ran into the plenary hall to cast a vote is lawmaker Kim Sang-wook, right? Mr. An, let's continue our conversation. So we have been talking about this, but it's the second straight time that a conservative president faces a judgment from the assembly since taking office. Is it a crisis for the conservative bloc?
Well, I guess I think might be the crisis for the Korean bipartisan system, personally speaking, because that I like to ask DP, what if same thing happened to the DP? Would they do the different things or the same thing, just like what happening? So leaving, so looking on the vacancies, right? So I guess most likely, I think they do the same thing. DP, because it's like under the current bipartisan system, is they really not care about the public, how the general public think. It's more like how their leader or how their party, interest of party, not the best interest of the public. I think that's very concerning, and that's what we're watching right now. That's what's problem with the bipartisan system in South Korea right now, and how they can abuse it or even ignoring unconstitutional act, criminal act, committed by the president. That's very serious, I think.
So far, 3 lawmakers from the ruling People Power Party have cast their votes. Their names are An Chol-soo, Kim Ye-ji, and Kim Sang-wook. Mr. An, the ruling party leader Han Dong-hoon has called for the president to step down early. That's something different from what he had said earlier. What could have been the reason behind this?
Okay. Well, I mean, actually, I'm not sure what's really happening, because the things changing so dramatically every hour. So I remember watching live TV, and it was 11 a.m. I think he said he talked to press saying that he voted for the vote in favor of impeachment, and then afternoon, I think this afternoon he had a meeting, very short meeting with President Yoon, and then he changed position, saying, well, basically what he's saying, well, he didn't really clearly saying that he vote in favor of impeachment, I think he said that, well, I don't think it's proper for President Yoon stay in power to controlling, right, basically. So there's a little bit different, technical difference, right? It's not really impeachment itself. It's more like as long as the, not per se technically, the President Yoon step down, not really step down, delegate some power to him or the other party, maybe he's willing to, handle the situation. That's what we're really watching it now in National Assembly. That's actually very concerning because once again, I'm saying that I think that any kind of deal they made between President Yoon and Chairman Han, that's very concerning because I don't think that's illegal. Because that if Yoon Suk Yeol, President Yoon Suk Yeol, thinks that he cannot work as the president, properly, he should step down. That's duty. It's a constitutional duty to step down, and he cannot delegate his presidential power to someone else who prime minister without stepping down or even without the impeachment process.
Would his remarks have affected other lawmakers within the party?
Oh yeah, of course. He's the chairman of PPP, right? There's 108 members there. So that's what we're looking at right now. He is impacting on. So, but I'm very surprised that he's changing his position very quickly. So I'm not sure what kind of deal they had behind the table. But well, we'll find out. But I'm hoping it's a little bit up. Since some more members show up, I'm hoping the other, we got 5 more. Okay, I hope to 5 more, national PPP members show up to, really participating, changing, the situation.
Right. I think they are still waiting for other their colleagues, their lawmakers from the ruling People Party to come back to the plenary hall to cast their votes. What are the legal risks of the Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung?
You mean to talk about the trial?
There's a lot of story happening here for the past couple of months.
Yeah, there was so many charges against him, so I was I'm not really following 100%. Yeah, I think there were two trial court results. First one, it was he found guilty in trial. The other one is not guilty. I think that's second one was one was final anyway. There's the one case was found guilty and they're still challenging because and they're appealing. Yeah, of course. I'm sure even the second one, the prosecution will appeal anyway. So in most cases, at least one party appeals. So they will go to the Supreme Court case. So it will take some time. And there was actually so much allegations against him, so it's it's hard to really say what's going on. There's very complicated and so many people involved and so many cases as well. So, but that's the legal risk the DP currently has it. And well, I don't know, person like me, what's the point about having leader have so much legal issues because it's so big. They have 192 members in their party, and can't you find someone with a less legal risk? Yeah, that's my common person like me. It's like, what's the real point about the getting leader have so much legal problem, right? So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The former president. So, here in Korea, 2 previous presidents saw their impeachment motions get passed our parliament. They were former President Roh Moo-hyun in 2004 and Park Geun-hye in 2016. But as for justice for the conservative presidents, former President Park Geun-hye was impeached in 2016. That is 8 years ago. How is this impeachment different from the past?
Yes, different. Actually, well, the first in my mind was she was single. She didn't have a spouse risk. And And she,
that's the
difference. Park Geun-hye, right? So big difference, right? She's a single, so no spouse risk, no kid, children risk, right? So big issue. I think that one of the things that at that time we talk about kind of political joke. Well, President Park would not have a problem because she's no husband and no kids, therefore no much family issue, right? Basically, right? But however, now we have different issues, and you have spouse issue. The major issue is spouse issue. Well, although they don't have a kid, well, they have 11 dogs, something, well, 17 dogs, yeah, a dog and cat. So I was, we have issues. I was joking about it. Oh, what if he's impeached? What happened to the 17 dogs? Something, So anyway, that things happens. There's a big difference on here. And once again, in 2016 was more like there's issue about inaction. It's or so negligence, more like negligence, whether maybe she should have to do something on the day of sinking of Seoul ferry, but she didn't show up for 7 hours. And then I think one of the things, remember that happened was really infuriated the public was that she had a haircut while the Seoul ferry was sinking. So that's very shocked the public, and maybe she didn't really notify him properly. So that's one concern, and the public was concerning that maybe she's not really fit to continue the job. That's why she got impeached. This time, I think personally, I think it's more serious because Park Geun-hye actually didn't do something illegal herself, at least that I know of. But this time was very concerning. I think what he did in self-coup, in the National Assembly is that it's against the law, against the Constitution, and is almost about to subvert the Constitution. Also, one thing I remember now, he sent a special troop to the National Election Committee. I was very surprised to see the final. And then I see that clearly what they want to do, they try to get into there and get a database. I'm sure they bring the USB and copy the data, what they have it. I think the idea was that they try to really to change the legislative structure, because the reason he had a problem is that the majority is really that DP is majority at the National Assembly, so he couldn't pass any law because that the Assembly is not helping him, right? So I guess he was thinking, as long as I can get some majority at the PPP has a majority at the National Assembly, I can pass it and do whatever I want to do it. But seems like it's like he had a problem, making the bill pass through the National Assembly because the majority is the opposition party.
그 종이를 든 의원이 다시 의원석에 앉아 계신 분들에게 이야기를 한 뒤 뒤로 나가는 모습이었습니다. 그리고 현재는 김민기 사무총장과 정명호 의사국장, 우원식 의장님이 세 분이서 지금 긴밀하게 이야기를 나누고 있는 모습이 보여집니다.
Watching at the National Assembly. There's something, it looks like something's going on, but we don't know what's happening right now, right there. So we're going to wait until what's happening right there. Is it possible that the voting does not end until within the 72 hours that it's legally stipulated in the law?
Yes, I think the law said you can do it within 72-hour window. Didn't say you have to finish it. Yeah, I think they can do it.
They just wait until all night long.
Actually, I'm not sure what time they supposed to finish it. 72-hour limit.
So they submitted it early Thursday morning. I think it was past midnight.
Yeah, about 12 something, 12:15, right? That means 12:14 tomorrow.
So technically, that is possible if they just stay there and wait until the ruling party, People Power Party lawmakers come back to cast their votes. Mr. On? Yeah. So we were talking about former President Park Geun-hye's impeachment 8 years ago. So after then President Park Geun-hye was impeached, the then ruling party went through severe internal conflict. What's going to happen to the fate of the People Power Party, and what happens to the 3 lawmakers that have cast their votes just today? They are lawmakers An Chol-soo, Kim Ye-ji, and Kim Sang-wook.
maybe.
Would they leave the party? Or?
Well, it's hard to say.
We don't know. I mean,
but
which,
I don't
if they
think
said
they
yes
allow it.
or no, but they just cast their votes.
I don't think chairman want to, kick them out at this moment because they don't know majority, right? The numbers giving more member to the other side is not the best option. So unless the 3 members by themselves try to leave the party, I think they want to keep them for a while at least. And I don't think they want to get selected for next election, but but at least they will for time being, because that it's a number game here. So we need to get more numbers. So I don't think they want to throw away. So 5 more votes, yeah. Let's make it happen, right? Well, you got, I'm not sure, it's 7 o'clock, so you got 5 hours, right? I wonder how the foreign media are looking at it. And they were thinking always over, what's going on?
Yeah.
They're waiting.
They're still waiting. And I think the ruling party leader, Han Dong-hoon, is going to hold an emergency press conference at any moment. So we're going to take that live if it happens. And while we're waiting for that, let's talk about South Korea, how the impeachment motion it works here in South Korea. If the motion passes, the president will be suspended from his position from office. So what happens next? Who will be in charge of state affairs?
Oh, yeah, by the South Korean Constitution, it's the Prime Minister, Han Dok-soo.
Yes.
And then go to the press, and he had a meeting with the chairman, right? Chairman Han Dong-hoon, right? Oh, same. 2 hands, so it's kind of really confusing. Yeah, they had a meeting, so they were talking. We're not sure what they talk, together. But I guess they were talking about what happened if there's impeachment passed, bill passed, right? So, and also I think they talk about if it's not passed and what kind of thing they can do together to try to solve the problem at this moment, right?
If the motion is passed, the ball will be in the Court of Constitutional Court to decide whether it upholds or rejects the motion. What happens there? What happens at the Constitutional Court if the motion gets handed over to the Constitutional Court?
Yeah, they will have a hearing, and they'll, just like a trial, they'll check their evidence. And basically, there was a prosecutor, and there's a defendant will be the president, Yoon, right? And then they actually just like a formal litigation. They're talking about both sides make argument. And the justice, now we have 6 justices, it should be full bench, but now due to the requirement, and there are 6 justices sitting at the bench, and they will listen to their argument, both sides, and they check, both sides will submit the evidence, and will decide which evidence must be admitted or not, and then they make a final decision about, I think that's within 180 days, something. So about last time in 2016, it took about 3 months. Very interesting. In fact, expound. The 2016, the day of impeachment was what was that? December 9th, December 7th actually, right?
Sorry,
the day of impeachment. What happened? Day of impeachment was December 9th. So today, it's exactly the same December.
In the same month, yes,
the same month,
right.
And very close, December 9. So very, very close, and then I don't know. It's
what a coincidence.
December. Bad luck for the president, right? Anyway, so that's the one they will decide. But they still have some legal issues because this is now a full bank with the 6 justices. Can Korean Supreme Court make a very sensitive issues, critical issues? That is still questionable because it never happened before. So we'll have, I'm sure that at least the party or PPP might making argument about it. You cannot have it. There's an illegality, but they still have it too. There's a lot of legality issue, but I don't think that's really a big problem because I think the Constitutional Court made a comment about it. They had an internal study analysis, discussion about what they should do. They say they could do it with 6 justices. That's what their position. So I'm sure they will do it. But the problem is that they will make someone will raise up the issue about the procedure issues. Yeah.
I think the ruling People Party are now holding a party meeting right now, and the DP and other opposition bloc are complaining about this. And
그 내용에 대해서
if we
이야기를
learn about what
마친 뒤 자리로 돌아가는데
says
앉아
in
계셨던
his
의원들이
press
박수를
conference,
쳤습니다.
we won't be actually taking that live, but I'll
어떤
give you a
내용인지는
recap of what
아직은 알 수 없습니다.
he says. Mr. An, what do you make of all this happening? It's been such days of chaos and just conflicts in the political arena for the past few days. What do you make of all this situation?
Well, it's like a drama. It's more dramatic than drama, right? Korean drama, right?
That was pretty unexpected and
Yeah.
really unprecedented, I would say.
Yeah, it's not only unprecedented in Korea. I think it's very historic moment in the history of democratic society. I mean, if we will do it, we get 200 votes and impeach the President Yoon, that really history will remember the South Korean democracy still alive. And then you have very resilient system, and maybe they will say, "Oh, it's great, not only K-pop, also the Korean culture, only the society, the democratic system work much better than the rest of the world." But however, we're still waiting for the 5 more vote, I guess. Okay, right.
And if the motion is rejected, the president remains in power.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean everything just goes back to what it was, as if nothing has happened. So what happens then? What lies ahead to resolve all this political chaos and internal conflicts? Not just internal conflicts, but conflicts both within and outside the ruling party. It has been such days and days of just chaos and conflicts here in the nation.
Maybe 2 different scenarios. First one, if the impeachment passed, right, and there will be finger pointing inside, and there was finger pointing, and PPP having internal problem, right? Internal problem. Maybe the chairman shouldn't make big decision. Maybe no yet, and as things happen. And if the impeachment motion is not passed,
there was a issue that was raised that the meeting that is being held by the People Power Party that was called during this vote, isn't this kind of impeding this voting session itself? So we would like to ask Representative Chu and Representative Park in order to explain and in order to have a discussion whether this is an act of impeding the vote itself. So please contact the Proceedings Bureau so that we can call these 2 representatives.
I'm sorry, I had to cut you off, Mr. An, to hear what's happening, to see what's happening at the Assembly Hall right now. Please continue. Let's pick up where we left off, what you were saying.
I'm sorry.
So we both don't remember because it's been so this unexpected situation.
Oh, yeah, 2 scenarios, right.
Yes, right. So what happens to resolve all these internal conflicts and chaos if the motion is passed and isn't passed?
Yes, first scenario number one, if the motion passed, it's really almost dissolution of the PPP, and because what happened with 2016, once then President Park Geun-hye was impeached, is it 한나라당, right? I remember 한나라, right?
새누리.
Oh, 새누리 was
yes.
it? Oh, sorry, they changed the name. So 새누리 had some problem with the party actually, kind of disappear. Basically. So I think that's what trauma they're getting. 2016 trauma. The PPP members that, especially the senior members, I'm sure they still vividly remember what happened. So they don't want to get that find the same, follow the same track. So, however, if the impeachment not passed, I guess the DP will bring up again and again, repeat it, and we'll see what happens. So, but internally and PPP maybe, I'm not sure how much they can hold it though, frankly, because that there's so much growing anger, public anger against that, PPP, and that if they don't do it, there will be the, greater consequences in the, that they have to face it. I think that's the problem. It's more problem than before now.
And we're speaking about political chaos and uncertainty, but let's talk about diplomacy. We were talking about this issue that you have mentioned that Japanese Prime Minister has canceled his planned trip to South Korea because of all this incident. If he survives the motion, the impeachment motion, will they get back on the track? What about the U.S., South Korea's allies' reaction to this? Because South Korea, the U.S. has strongly criticized what President Yoon has done.
Well, for the Japan, but I'm not sure. Well, that's their political decision, what to do. So not sure what they will do. But if I'm Japanese, the Japanese government side, maybe they might wait and see what happened, because that they don't want to waste their time and energy, right? Just talking to someone who doesn't have power, who about to be stepped down, right? That's their concern, right? Basically, and from the U.S. perspective, it's a little different because about the alliance issue, and because that that using the military emergency situation, they didn't inform the U.S. Well, it was not emergency at all, but using the martial law order and without telling the White House they were taking or not. So I think that the Biden administration took very seriously about what happened. But not only Biden administration, I'm sure Trump was watching it. Oh yeah, but he will ask himself, can I trust Yoon Suk Yeol when I taking office next year? I guess not, because once you do that, it's kind of very, maybe this is trauma to the U.S. government side. Can I trust them, the President Yoon? Maybe the question they have to answer themselves, but I guess most likely negative answers from the foreign leaders.
To give you a little bit of background for those who just missed it, a motion to impeach a president here in Korea undergoes a secret vote between 24 and 72 hours after the motion is reported. The motion was reported to the Assembly a little after midnight Thursday, and now it's Saturday.
Vice head of People Power Party just delivered a message that they would not attend. How I see it is that the attention of our people is very high on this motion, and this, I believe, shows how important and significant this impeachment vote is for the future of the Republic of Korea. And the National Assembly, which is the representative body of the Korean people, cannot even establish a vote itself, is such a shameful incident. This will definitely be written in history and the history of democracy. As I stated earlier, the K-culture of ours is surprising the world, and it is because of the democracy and the economic development, which is the basis for our K-culture to flourish. I'm not saying that you should vote for or against. This is not my point. At least the democracy powerhouse, Republic of Korea, if we cannot establish a vote itself, how shameful is this? Please come in and at your free will go into the ballot booth and you can vote against it. You can vote it down. Why are you not attending the vote itself? Is this really because of your individual free will or not? I do not think that this is the work that should be done by the leader of the party. It should be up to the conscience of the individual representatives. Your own values and your own will should not be represented by the representative himself or herself. So that is why I am saying that you should at least come in, and if it goes against your conscience, you can vote against it. So with this high interest, the highest interest almost, by our people, their eyes are all on the National Assembly, and what we're doing right now should be going down in history. And everyone who are in awe towards the democracy of the Republic of Korea, we should make this happen, and we should establish this voting itself. As I always reiterate, the Speaker of the National Assembly is at a neutral position. I am not taking side of the ruling party or the opposition parties. I am at the side of the people of the Republic of Korea. And I know that all eyes are of the Republic of Korean people the people of Republic of Korea are on the National Assembly, and therefore the virtue and the value of free democracy that is shared by around the world, the people around the world are watching us as well. So therefore, please, I really plead that you should come in to vote, and this is for the future of the Republic of Korea.
So, Mr. Ahn, we just saw the Assembly Speaker once again urging for the ruling party lawmakers to come back and cast their ballots. What did you make of his remarks, briefly?
Yeah, basically he's saying that individual, member are the free will, have to exercise free will and non-partisan way. So he's still waiting. I'm sure he will get all using the 72-hour window, right?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ahn, for your time and insights. So the voting will take longer than we expected. So we are going to stop there for a moment, but we will come back after some break. So right now, bye for now.
How to survive in Korea. Workplace. Step 1. Lunchtime. The most important morning routine is to check today's menu. Food is essential for survival. Memorize today's menu. The highlight of office life. Lunchtime. Rice in the